Alright, we're going to try a little truck talk today. Winners win. What do I mean by that? Winners win. Losers lose. How do you define what winning looks like? Because that's perhaps the largest challenge with entrepreneurship, with life. We've talked about goal setting and mission statements and strategic initiatives and all of that. But how do I know if I'm winning? Well, the first thing I could tell you is winning doesn't always feel like winning. When you're in the process of winning, it doesn't always feel like you're winning. In fact, a lot of times it feels desperate, grueling, uncomfortable. And it's hard to know day to day if you're making any progress. If you get stuck in the tactical, you get stuck in the day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, you're too immersed in the details. It's hard to have the perspective to judge whether or not you're actually winning. A large part of being able to step back from the daily and get into the weekly, monthly, yearly to determine, am I winning? And some of y'all aren't going to like this, but it's data. It's that paperwork you don't want to do. What do your financials look like? I'm going to talk about KPIs, key performance indicators, in a minute. But how do I know that I'm winning? Well, for a small enterprise, I can look at the bank account. Is there more money in the bank account today than there was yesterday? That's called bank account balance accounting. And it's what most people default to. But it's dangerous. Because if I had $5,000 in my bank account yesterday and I've got $10,000 in my bank account today, well, I'm up 5,000. But if I've got outstanding invoices for 8,000 to my vendors, I've really only got 2,000. So operating a business based upon what the bank account balance looks like today can be very, very, very dangerous, because it can give you a false sense of confidence because the liquidity that you think you have doesn't actually exist. And 10,000 in which account? My OPEX account, my operating expenses, my tax rollover account? Yes, tax rollover, it's a thing. Or my profit account. Bear, you have a separate account for profit? Yes, I do. Maybe we'll talk more about that at some point. Maybe we'll come back around to bank accounts. So, determining whether or not I'm winning simply based upon what the bank account says can be very bad, because it only gives you a snapshot in time. It's only one piece of data that you need to combine with other pieces of data. For example, what outstanding invoices do I have, in order to get a better idea, snapshot in time, of where I'm actually at today. So, and by the way, if it's noisy in the truck, I apologize. This is a truck. This is not a toy. This is a 1-ton GMC 4x4, 4-door with, I don't know, 3,000 pounds of fuel and tools on the back. So, how do I know that I'm winning? Especially when winning in the moment often doesn't feel like winning. KPIs, key performance indicators. What metrics, what data are you tracking hour to hour, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, to determine whether or not you're winning. And how do you define winning? Well, it depends, doesn't it? Refuge Training, which is our training organization, I've said 100 times on camera, from a receivables standpoint, from top line revenue standpoint, does not have stellar performance. It pays its own bills, it wipes its own ass. It doesn't cost us money, but we don't make a ton of money with Refuge Training. But we've taught 4,000 people the fine art of how to not die. And our bills are paid, our operational expenses are covered, salaries are covered, insurance is paid, everything's paid, right? It's got a little bit of money in the bank. That's good. Refuge Training has also baptized, as a result of traveling around the country and talking to people and witnessing to people, has baptized more people than we can count. We've lost track. The number is in the hundreds of people. So if my KPI for Refuge Training is top line revenue, it's easy to look at the tangible KPI, key performance indicator, of top line revenue, meaning, gross sales, money that came in before expenses. Look at that number and go, man, this company, this organization is just not winning. But what about the intangibles? How many thousands of people must one train before you call it winning? How many months do you need to cover payroll before you call it winning? How many people does one need to baptize before you call it winning, right? The intangibles. Bearing in mind that most companies aren't profitable, meaning they don't make more money than they spend until year 3 or 4. Which begs the question, well then how do they operate? There's a couple of ways. One is they take out a loan from a bank, or they take out a private loan, or they cash in their 401k, get a line of equity, whatever. They find some source of funding and they operate off the funding until the business proves itself to be profitable. That's one way. Another way is they bootstrap. They work their day job while building their side hustle, whatever that may be, the business, until the business can stand on its own 2 feet, and then they transition from day job to business. Most people don't have the discipline and the grit required to do that, so they get a business idea, they take out a business loan, personal or institutional loan, to fund the idea of the business, and then they spend somebody else's money to cover their operational expenses for months, years, till the business proves itself to be profitable. And as previously mentioned, I think that's a really bad idea, especially if you're brand new to business, because you have yet to prove that your business idea is a good one. And you don't get to decide whether or not your business idea is a good one. The market decides if your business idea is a good one. If people want what you're selling and they want it enough that you can cover your operational expenses and have money left in the bank, you have a good idea. If they don't want what you're selling, you don't have a good idea. Doesn't matter how much you like it, how much you're emotionally invested in that idea. If the market doesn't respond, you don't have a good idea. That's capitalism, baby. That's how it works. And a lot of people love to poo-poo these large conglomerates, large companies. Look at 3M. Been around since 1889? They're pushing 150 years in business. They've had thousands, tens of thousands of good ideas. 3M as an organization has produced a culture and a system inside of their organization to produce good ideas over and over and over again. That's why they've been in business pushing 150 years. General Electric, same story. Now, have they engaged in shady shit from time to time? Yeah, absolutely. Have you as a person engaged in shady shit from time to time? Yep. And remember, companies are just organizations full of people, and people make mistakes. I'm not defending these large multinational conglomerates, but my point is, the market decides if you have a good idea or not. And if you've been in business for 100+ years, you've probably had a bunch of good ideas. So, back to KPIs. Are you looking at tangible or intangible? Because winners win. How do I know if I'm winning? Well, if you have something like an e-commerce store, where you go to www.refugemedical.com or whatever, what do I want to look at day to day, year over year? How about my sessions? How many people each day are going to the website? What about my conversion rate? Of the 1,000 people that went to the site, how many people transacted? What percentage is that, right? And there's even more metrics than that if you want to get granular. How many people added to cart? How many people reached checkout? How many people actually converted, actually hit, entered their payment information and hit buy now? That last category, that's your conversion rate. How about, talked about sessions, talked about conversion rate. How about average order value or returning customer rate, right? All of these are just data points. Well, which one do I want to focus on? Because what you measure, you can improve. So if I realize, say for example, again, just use me and one of our companies as an example with Refuge Medical, if I realize my conversion rate is X, right, and it's fairly consistent, and I want to increase top line revenue, the amount of volume of sales that we do day to day, well, there's a couple ways I can do that. One is I can increase my order value. So instead of featuring a product that costs $100, I can feature a product that costs $300, right? But you have to know your customer. What are people more likely to transact on? The $100 product or the $300 product? Depends on your customer, right? Depends. Variables, intangibles that you need to know about your customer. By the way, pro tip, all sales are relational. People do business with people that they like. Know, like, and trust. We've talked about that in a different video. But all sales are relational. You have to have some level of relationship with the people that are buying from you if you're going to have a lasting brand, a lasting company. If they're purely transactional, if you sell, if you drop ship Chinese bullshit through an Instagram post, that's transactional. Because people don't know you, they don't know the brand, which means they can't like and trust you, they can't like and trust the brand. Cool. So I can increase my order value, or I can increase sessions, the number of people who are coming to the website, because if the conversion rate is X and it stays the same, if I double the amount of people who come to the website, I double my sales, right? Because conversion rate is a constant. Okay, which begs the question now from a marketing standpoint, how do I double the volume of people, double the amount of eyeballs that are looking at the website each day? If, with e-commerce, that was a KPI, a key performance indicator for me. So you and your company need to figure out what your KPIs are. You should pick no less than 3, no more than 5, because you don't want to get lost in the sauce. You don't want too much data. And this again comes from familiarity with operating the business, your business, not a business, your business, because every business is different. I've got 5 of them and 2 ministries, and the KPIs for each organization inside of the enterprise are different because the model for each organization inside of the enterprise is different, right? An easy one, YouTube, subscribers and views. Those are easy KPIs. Even though because of YouTube shenanigans, the subscriber number on the channel has become a vanity number. It doesn't actually matter. You know, we've got 190,000 subscribers out here, but we're not getting 190,000 people each time we post a piece of content that watches it, right? So that's a vanity number, but you could use that as a KPI. So winners win. How do I know that I'm winning? KPIs. Got to get some fuel. KPIs, key performance indicators. What KPIs? You need to figure that out. Put pen to paper. What are the bits of information that you must know for your business to know whether or not you're making progress? Realizing that in the moment, it will never feel like progress. It will feel like trying to run through mud every day. But if you run through mud long enough, you get from where you are to where you want to be. And that's why you need to be able to zoom back out and get that large picture strategic overview, not rather than a day-to-day snapshot in time. That's also important because it allows you to make tactical decisions. But don't make strategic decisions based upon a tactical situation. We had a bad day. Put everything on sale. Okay, well, if you put everything on sale, you've just reduced the amount of markup that you have in that product, which limited your profitability, which means that you're going to have a bad day tomorrow too because you have less money actually available for you to operate the business with, right? Because you had an emotional reaction to a tactical situation that screwed you in the strategic. Can't do that. But you don't know if you should do that or not if you don't have the data, and a large part of that data is the KPIs, the key performance indicators. And I'll leave you with this. There's a guy, you might have heard of him. His name's Sam Walton. Started a little company called Walmart. And Walmart had a strategic initiative called Beat Yesterday. And Sam Walton, when he was still alive, kept a ledger, handwritten ledger, where he would pick a day, April the 15th. Okay. And he'd look at April the 15th, 1962. And then next year, on April the 15th, 1963, he would look at the numbers from a year ago. And when the initiative was called Beat Yesterday, but he was really looking at the day-to-day, year over year. And his goal was 365 days later to have a better number on that day a year later than he did the year before. And that was Sam Walton's KPI. And you may not know this, but Sam Walton started a little five and dime store in Arkansas. And he quickly scaled that from 1 store to 5 stores. And then, I don't know, there's tens of thousands of Walmarts on planet Earth now. Regardless of whether or not you like Walmart as a company, the model proves that by understanding what your KPIs are, and paying attention to them on the daily, you can scale and scale appropriately. So, you don't know how much money you have to spend, simply what the bank says you have. You don't know whether or not you're winning without being able to have a strategic overview of what you're doing. And you don't have a strategic overview without KPIs, key performance indicators. Pick 3 to 5. Too few is less than 3. It's not enough data to make decisions with. 6 or more muddies the waters. It's too much data. So, audit your company, step back from the doing of, step out of the tactical, get into the strategic, and understand what data do I actually need to run this company, not tomorrow, next year, the year after that, the year after that. I hope this finds you well. As always, I would greatly appreciate it if you could share the show. Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.